In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a wonderful tool that can help improve detail and clarity whilst reducing noise, whilst processing Fuji RAW files in Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop. Stick around till the end of the video too, as I'll be sharing a couple of my recent images and also the 10 challenge winners from the Photographers Clubhouse monthly challenge. So sit back and enjoy the video. So it's so great to be out once again shooting landscapes. I finished my really busy period shooting client work through the summer, so I can now once again focus on this channel and doing what I absolutely love doing, and that's shooting landscape photos. So today I'm going to be taking a look at an amazing tool which can really improve your Fuji RAW photos in Adobe Lightroom. So it's quite specific, this one, but this does work with any camera. However, I can't test every camera. I've only got Fuji cameras. So I would be really interested if you've got another camera brand, if you test this out, maybe you could leave a comment in the comment section and let me know if it works for you. I think that would be very, very helpful for other camera users. So without further ado, I'm going to take this image here, which is focusing on these boulders and rocks here. I'm trying to choose an image here, a frame which will probably be quite difficult for the camera to cope with. So exposing for the highlights, we've got some deep dark shadows which I'm going to have to pull out in post-production. Obviously doing that is going to increase the noise and graininess to the image. So yeah, I'm going to be pushing the raw file a little bit to see if we can really improve things. So mentioning the plugin itself, we're going to be using DxO's Pure RAW 2 to transform this Fuji RAW file into a DNG file, and it's going to do a bit of wizardry behind the scenes and spit out DNG file that's going to be a lot easier for us to edit when we get into Lightroom and Photoshop, and it's going to transform the noise and the graininess in the image as well and give us a much more clearer, detailed shot. Now I must thank a member of the Photographers Clubhouse for recommending me this plugin back earlier in the start of the year. I haven't had a chance to try it out until now, and I wish I'd have tried it sooner because it is absolutely amazing, I think, and it would be great for my work, and hopefully if you haven't checked it out, it's going to be great for your photos too. What I should just say as well before we get into this, I'm not sponsored in any way by DxO Pure RAW 2. I'm also not an affiliate. They don't even know I'm making this video. Without further ado, let's get into this and see you back at Lightroom, and then we'll come back here and I'll show you a couple of photos that I took last night when conditions were pretty awesome. We had some really dramatic skies and moody seas. Okay, let's get into it. Here we are on DxO Pure RAW's website. It's dxo.com/DxO-Pure RAW. And as you can see here, we can start the free trial. If we click on that, it will take us through the whole process of downloading the software and then activating the plugin, and it will then appear inside Lightroom when you open Lightroom the next time. So basically it's nice and simple. The great thing about it is you get a 30-day free trial, so no credit cards or anything like that. I think they're so confident that after you've used it for 30 days applied this to all of your raw files and tested it out, that you'll be so happy with it that you'll just go on to buy it. So as you can see, we've got our image here that we took on the beach, a fairly average photo, but I really wanted to concentrate on getting harsh light on the subject, something where we could get nice strong lighting, deep dark shadows, something where perhaps we will see noise and maybe the sharpness and the clarity won't be quite as good, and then there's lots of different textures and details that we can zoom into to have a look to see how DxO processes that detail. So this is just quite good. Yeah, it's a very, very standard edit that I've run on this. So just boosted the exposure, contrast, reduced the highlights, lifted the shadows, etc. Bit of boost in saturation. So fairly simple, nothing too demanding, I would say there. I've left the sharpening at its default, Lightroom's default sharpening at 40. So I'm going to open the plugin now. So it's really simple. Once you've done your edit, I mean, I'm doing my edit now so I can compare the two. You don't have to do the edit first. Usually I would open my raw file and apply the conversion first, the Pure RAW conversion first. But you can retrospectively go back and re-edit your images that you've already edited, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. But doing it this way here gives me a comparison between the two. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I've already edited it. I'm going to come up to File, Plugin Extras, and Process with DxO Pure Raw 2. It's going to bring up the plugin panel here, and we can see we can carry on trying the demo. We've got 23 days left, or we can activate it, or we can buy it. So if we've got an activation key, we'll just type that in there. I'm going to continue with the demonstration piece because I've got 23 days left, and why not? First of all, you can see we've got this HQ prime and deep prime. They all do slightly different things. I think deep prime gives us the probably most detailed conversion, and it takes the longest to process as well. We also have a few options here. We've got lens distortion correction, which I'm going to check on because I want any corrections to be corrected by the plugin as it converts the raw file. Now this one here is global lens sharpening. Now I've tried this out with it on and found in a lot of circumstances the image was too sharp for my taste, but this might be, you know, just might vary, and the mileage might vary from person to person how sharp you wish your image to be. Now I've unchecked this, and I will apply my sharpening later, and that will allow me to be a little bit more selective perhaps where I want to apply that sharpening. So for example, if I'm shooting in a misty woodland and I'm going for an ethereal look, maybe I don't want to apply too much sharpening to my image. If I'm shooting maybe an image like this here on the beach, maybe I do, maybe I want to increase that sharpness a bit, but not in the sky, so I might want to mask the sky out. So doing it later gives me complete flexibility, whereas if it's applied here, it's applied to the whole image, and yeah, it doesn't give me as much creative control. Like I said, if you want a quick edit on this, then maybe you can check that and just go for it. So, but anyway, as you can see a bit further down, we've got which format we would like. You could either choose JPEG or DNG. Well, I want a raw file, a digital negative, so I'm going to click on DNG, and it's going to tell me my estimated export size as well here. Now I checked this, which is create a DxO folder within the original folder. So it's going to create a subfolder where it's going to store the converted files, or you can just create a custom folder, but I've checked that. It's quite simple. You can rename the file if you want to, but I don't bother. I just let it process. So let's hit process now, and this is going to take 30 odd seconds to process. So here is the original file, and here is the converted DNG file with the deep prime. Now as you can see, it's taken us back to our original settings. So if we want to paste in our settings from the previous edit, we can just click on the image that's edited, click on the converted image, and then just click previous, and that will sync all of those settings in. Quite a simple way of doing it. You can also use sync as well, and then that'll allow you to selectively choose what you want to carry over to the new image. So straight away you see a little bit of difference in terms of exposure, because I think what's happening here is it's correcting vignetting, any lens distortion, that type of thing. And I've noticed on all of my conversions the images come out a little bit lighter than my original edit. So I'm just going to reduce the exposure ever so slightly to get us somewhere near. You can see the corners are definitely lighter as it's reduced that vignetting. But anyway, you could adjust, if you really wanted to get back to the original file, you could apply a vignette or something like that to it if you wish afterwards. So let's look at the all important details. So here we are in comparison view. So we've got the raw file on the left hand side and our deep prime DxO DNG file on the right hand side. Now I've found that the DNG files, the pure raw DNG files, come out sharper than the original file. So I tend to reduce the sharpness quite a bit because I don't like to over sharpen my images. So let's go in and take a quick look at the standard sharpening in Lightroom. Let's go in and take a look at the sharpening and detail in the pure raw file. You can see quite a big difference here. Here there's these patterns that we see, whereas here on the barnacles you can see a lot more individual detail. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and come into this rock, because I think this is a really good example of that pattern that we see. So here's the original RAF file, and we can see that we get these wormy, snaky patterns in the barnacles. Well, it's not actually like that. It's individual barnacles, the little dots. And here you can clearly see in the pure raw file a lot more detail. Even if we crank up the sharpening here, you can still see that detail. It doesn't turn to worms or snakes or patterns. It just sharpens the individual details. So I think that's really nice. Now, this is one of the things that I've been most impressed about with the DxO Pure Raw software, is the fact that we can clearly see here a fair bit of noise in the shadows, but here there's absolutely no noise whatsoever, and the details here are accentuated and sharpened, so it's reducing that noise but improving the clarity as well, which is absolutely brilliant. I think even though this is fairly minimal in terms of what you see when you're looking at the image and you're not zoomed in, for landscape photography, especially when you're printing, I think having the most detail in your shot without noise is fantastic. So this has done an amazing job on this this image here. I want to take a look at another example. So here's a shot that I took back in the early part of the summer on a very wet and blustery day. And as you can see, it's a bit of a long exposure. I wanted to accentuate some of the movement here in the leaves and create a bit of a softness and a glow in the background. So that's what I did. I'm just going to zoom into this shot here just so we can take a look at the detail in the mosses here. Now, the sharpening's set to 58 here in both. And as you can see, it renders the moss and bark a lot nicer here in the DxO file. We don't get noise in the shadows. These areas here of the bark are lovely and crisp and textured. But it's the moss, it's these mossy areas where you can really see the difference. Here we can start to see these patterns come in to the moss, which isn't natural, whereas here we can start to see how the moss actually should look. And yeah, this is how I expect it to look, and this is how it would look if you were there in the field. So the great thing about this one is you can increase the sharpening, go 60 maybe as far as you can go, but the texture and detail in the bark is pretty amazing. If I was to let's put the RAF file on the right hand side here, and let's increase the sharpening more, and you can see how these patterns and the grain and noise start to creep in and make things look weird. So now I've played around with many different sharpening techniques for RAF files over the years, including increasing detail, reducing sharpness, and adjusting masking and radius and all of these types of things. But for me, nothing comes close to what you can get out of a conversion with DxO's Pure Raw 2. I hope you can see from my edits that it really does make a big difference using DxO's Pure Raw 2. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to be purchasing it, and I think it's a worthwhile investment. Definitely improves my photos. If you're using different camera brands, please be sure to drop a comment below. I'd love to know if it works for you too. Last night I was here capturing some really dramatic seascapes. We had some wonderful weather fronts rolling through, and yeah, skies were very dramatic. Seas were quite big as well, washing over my foreground. So I was really trying to incorporate the drama and mood in the sky with the light and the longer exposure of the water flowing through my foreground, creating something really dramatic. That's what I was going for, and I think that's what I managed to capture as well. So I took two images. The first one was a blend of two images, which I blended using luminosity masks in Photoshop. One exposure for the foreground, one exposure for the sky, because the dynamic range was quite large. I used luminosity mask because it was quite difficult blending the two images together with the trees and stuff going on. So that was something I was working with. I think it worked really well for that image. The second image, the landscape one, was focused on the sky. Really, it was about the colour in the sky, and I used one exposure for that and lifted the shadows. When I've shown my two images, there will be the 10 challenge winners from the monthly challenge over at the Photographers Clubhouse. So if you fancy checking out the Photographers Clubhouse, please be sure to do so. I'll leave a link below. There's lots going on over there. We have a forum where members interact with each other and share ideas, share photos, that type of thing. Also, I've got my monthly videos where I take part in the challenge too and create an image all based around the challenge theme, which is really cool. And yeah, obviously we have the monthly gallery and the monthly challenges as well going on over there. and also my instructional educational videos as well. There's a Lightroom one and all sorts over there. So yeah, please be sure to go and check that out if you're interested. It's less than a coffee these days, so yeah, well, a worthwhile investment. Anyway guys, I do hope you enjoy these images, and I'll see you very, very soon in the next video.